Yo.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. I just wanted to start this episode off with an explanation on why I wanted to start doing some guided meditations. I think everybody needs, those times to kind of go inside themselves and start to really become a little bit more aware of their thoughts and their feelings. With a lot of creative people, I mean, it's kind of like it is a bit of a lonely journey. And for creative professionals in general, you're doing a lot of work for other people, and you're not doing work so much for yourself. So you kind of get lost in, the pursuit of other people's ideas rather than your own. And I think when you actually start making some really good art, that's kind of when you start looking inside yourself and start becoming more aware of those feelings and thoughts. Today, I actually have Ashton, who is a friend of mine. We been friends for quite a bit. Back in South Georgia, we met for the first time taking pictures. It was your ex-boyfriend and you for your prom. Yeah. And then we, stayed in touch. Always took photos. We always had a group of people that we would always kind of meet up with and take photos. And then she moved to Atlanta, pursue modeling, and then shortly thereafter, I was up here too, and we shot together for her portfolio and things like that. Still remain friends and everything like that. And now she's actually starting to pursue something really interesting. And you want to talk a little bit about more of what you're going through?
I'd love to. So, modeling actually took me on quite an interesting journey, which I'm now very grateful for. But in my original pursuit of coming to Atlanta and becoming a signed model, I realized I was actually pursuing everything I was out of fear and a desire for external validation. And so after kind of looking more deeply into the reasoning behind why I was doing what I was doing, I came into my own self-awareness, which has been the most beautiful gift for me because it brought me closer to my spirituality and closer to my true self, my personal truth in this life. And so I am now a certified yoga and meditation teacher as well as an Ayurveda specialist. So I'm very, very passionate about holistic health, self-development, and spirituality. So I'm very excited to be here, and I really appreciate you having me.
Oh yeah, of course. And you started your own kind of like brand too, right?
Yes. So I currently have a business called the Mind Body Soul Movement, and essentially this is just a community-based platform that I've created through Facebook and Instagram to bring people together who are like-minded in their passion toward holistic health and self-development, spirituality, and just kind of living the best life that they possibly can, pursuing what they truly care about, opposed to, conforming to society, because that's such, I think, a massive theme within current existence, is that we've all been kind of convinced that we have to live our lives a very specific way. But when we come into this self-awareness, this self-realization of our true power and freedom as the human beings that we are, we learn that we can do much more than we've ever been allowed to believe. So I just kind of want to instill that inspiration and the wisdom that I've been able to gain over the last few years, navigating through my own journey with the people that I guess are brought into my life. I really want to create a community where people feel safe and heard and supported.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring up I remember when you transitioned to this because you yourself weren't really going through a good time when it came to the whole modeling situation. Explain why you felt like you needed to transition from something like that to what you're doing now.
Yeah, so, oh my gosh, I was so miserable in everything that I was doing. Like, I was in college studying for a degree that I had absolutely zero interest in. I was working at a job that I knew I wouldn't want to keep, which I've never been able to keep the jobs that I've had because I just haven't been passionate about them. So I either got fired or quit every time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was in a relationship that wasn't really benefiting me mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, unfortunately. But, I was able to realize that everything I was doing out of fear. And once I realized that, I kept just asking myself, why am I doing all of this? Once I realized that, I understood it all served to show me what my purpose actually was, to become closer to myself and realize, what I am passionate about. And because I was kind of in this phase of not really taking good care of myself, pursuing modeling and feeling as if I had to fit into these confines of a certain standard, I realized that I needed to take much better care of myself. And that's kind of how I got into holistic health. So my healing journey really did begin with food and my relationship to it, my relationship to fitness, and just how well I take care of my physical self. And then once I gained a lot of knowledge in that, I began sort of uncovering the deeper aspects to self-care in a way, and realized that I had a lot of deep internal, I guess, trauma and just hurt that really needed to be addressed, which kind of led me more deeply into my spirituality and doing things like meditation and shadow work and, releasing all of these fears and the sort of grudges I hold toward past experiences that I've had, whether they were, externally forced or if it was something I had brought on myself through decisions that I had made. I just realized that everything had been sort of cause and effect. It had all led up to this moment where I realized I was meant for so much more than what I was trying to limit myself to. And then I sort of just kind of realized this incredible freedom and power that I have to actually be and do whatever I desire. And so I did. I began just kind of really investing my time into holistic health and spirituality, and became a certified yoga teacher and Ayurveda specialist. And I also studied neurolinguistic programming. So I learned how to speak to the subconscious mind in a way that allows us to uncover what it is that we're sort of limiting ourselves to based on the beliefs that we have, and how to kind of break those so that we can create a life we actually desire for ourselves. And because I've been able to do that for myself, I really just want to help others do that in their own lives.
And what do you say to people that kind of are a little bit suspicious about the thought of you being able to, speak to your subconscious? Because I mean, that sounds a little bit kind of a little supernatural in a way or something like that. But it's really not, because we kind of do it, but we don't
realize it.
Yeah. Like there's those moments where you're kind of doing something, and I don't. Going into what I'm hoping to start pursuing soon is this method of using photography in a way to help people gain more awareness. And I feel like a lot of people's imagery and work that come from it are actually their subconscious speaking through a lot of visual language that they, put out on a rectangle.
Yeah.
So like explain to those people who are a little bit suspicious on that.
Well, first I want to say that's an awesome idea. I really, really love where you're going with that.
Yeah, thank you.
But for myself, I was one of those people that was suspicious as well. I grew up in a very religious household, and as I got older into my later teenage years, I began rejecting religion, this faith, this, really just, it didn't make sense to me. So I veered away from that, and I began looking into science. And I only was willing to believe what I could prove. And the miraculous aspect of delving into all of the science was that it brought me back to spirituality. And while studying science, I learned about not only the conscious mind, but the subconscious mind, and how these two aspects of ourselves are deeply integrated. And we live most of our lives unconsciously simply because we aren't aware of the way in which our mind works. But luckily, there have been numerous studies done over the last 100 of years just based around the mind, based around the way in which our subconscious and conscious work together to sort of create this reality that we are perceiving. I I guess just in my own experience, I realized how incredibly true it was. I've been a skeptic and was always really sort of skeptical toward anything that didn't automatically make me right or make me favorable in whatever circumstance I was
a
in.
sense of control.
Yes, definitely. Which is how my disordered eating habits actually began, is I wanted that sense of control. And when I began studying the subconscious mind, I began understanding that I have absolutely no control because of my unconscious behavior. But the positive aspect to this is that when we understand the way in which the mind works, we sort of gain a bit of that control back, or we learn to be okay with not having control when we don't. So I guess just to anyone who is skeptical about the subconscious mind, just pay attention yourself. Use your own conscious thought and awareness to see what it is that you're thinking and how that is affecting you, because we oftentimes think that our environment is just sort of I guess, an external factor, and it affects how we are inside. It's sort of affecting us opposed to us affecting our external environment, whereas it's actually the opposite. We are creating the reality that we perceive. You know, we have our own certain perceptions that we take, and they're different for all of us. You know, like what I might see as one way, you might see as a completely different thing. And that's why individuality is so beautiful. But all of our subconscious minds work in the same way because the human design hasn't changed since the beginning of its existence. So just pay attention to your thoughts. Notice how they affect how you see the world around you. You can choose to be pessimistic and everything will seem awful, or you can choose to be positive and things might seem a little brighter for you. So just doing that in my own life showed me just how true all of this was, and gave me the faith that I needed to really dive in and commit to my own self-awareness and internal healing.
And I've kind of had a similar journey in the way of trying to bring more awareness to myself. And it's not something that, going back to people who maybe are more pessimistic than optimistic, people that are probably more pessimistic will say like, well, that's so far away from my mind that I don't even want to try. Because if I try, it's going to take forever. And again, they're being pessimistic, and it really just takes a step at a time in a way. It takes, just one evening just sitting by yourself and just kind of maybe listening to some really calm music and just going through your thoughts. Journaling's a way of kind of doing the same thing. How would you maybe prescribe this to somebody who's more in that pessimistic mindset?
Like, what recommendations would I give them to sort of shift that mindset? Well, first would be awareness, like just beginning to pay attention to your thoughts. So we have this streamline of thoughts that goes on constantly. From the moment we wake up until the minute we fall asleep, there are thoughts running through our minds, and we can't control them no matter how much we want to think that we can. So really, our mindset is the response we have to these thoughts, the actions that we take toward these thoughts based on our mindset, and so not only paying attention to the thoughts that you have, but paying attention to the initial reaction that you have to those thoughts. Like, oh, it's raining today. Oh, well, shit, that sucks. I hate the rain. Or, oh, it's raining today. Oh, well, good. The plants are going to get some water. Maybe they'll be a little bit more vibrant when I get home later. Like paying attention to the initial reaction you have to the thoughts that flow through your mind. And then seeing how that reaction affects the rest of your day, affects your mood, affects your behavior. Because like I mentioned earlier, I noticed everything in my life had been cause and effect. Well, everything in everyone's life is cause and effect. You perceive this, so you think this. You think this, so you feel this. You feel this, so you do this, and then you do this, and it's your life.
Yeah,
It's
spirals.
it's all linked. It's all just a cycle that continues until you realize the cycle and then break it. So even journaling would help, just journaling your thoughts and really trying to pay attention to what is coming to your mind when you're trying to force something out and what you're willing to write down. Like I've noticed I'll sometimes try and sit down and journal, and I'll be in a more negative or emotional state, and like, I don't want to write that down. I don't want to solidify that, you know?
It's weird journaling and trying to be honest on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Like, you're literally,
It makes it real.
There's nobody, like, it's intended to have nobody else read other than yourself, but you still don't want to be honest even though you write down a journal.
So realizing that bit of honesty that's hard to face, and then questioning that, like, why don't I want to write that down? Oh, well, do I view myself as bad for that? Do I view myself as wrong or negative? Or, and taking a look at your own self-perceptions, it's really just going more deeply into thought, which is why meditation also helps so much. Like, when you kind of make yourself sit down, close your eyes and quiet your mind, not in the sense that you're not allowing yourself to think thoughts, but just so that you're focusing on something in particular, whether it's the breath or whether it is just noticing your thoughts. Just giving yourself that space to do that. And there is a large misconception within meditation that we're supposed to silence our minds, and it's not that. It's that we're actually supposed to just listen to our minds. We're supposed to just watch it as it goes by, listen to the thoughts.
Would you say it's like a patience, you being more patient with your mind?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely, because, when you first meditate, it's like working out for the first time. If you haven't been lifting weights your whole life, you're only going to be able to pick up a 5-pound weight potentially. You're not going to start with the 75. Same thing goes for meditation. If you're meditating for the first time, you're not going to be able to do it for an hour. You're going to want to start with 2 to 5 minutes and then move your way up from there. It's working out the mind. It's literally exercise for your brain.
It can be more frustrating than if you haven't worked out.
But it is. Yeah. But the beautiful thing about it is that the entire purpose of it is to acknowledge that frustration and to release it. To say, oh, I'm getting frustrated. Let me return to my breath, or let me just take a deep breath and be patient and understand that these thoughts are going to continue. These emotions are going to continue. My life is always going to keep happening. But it's my choice whether I allow it to affect me or I sort of take control of my own behavior and choose what perception I want to have despite what comes naturally to my mind or my heart. And just dedicating yourself to that, like, it's not easy to wake up and say, I want to meditate. Most mornings I don't really want to get up and meditate, but I never regret it when I do, because afterwards I feel refreshed, I feel calm, I feel at peace, and I don't have that anxiety that I typically wake up with that just starts going as soon as I open my eyes, like, oh, I have to do this, 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 and this. I have to be there. I have to talk to them. I can't forget about that. It's especially in modern day society, we're so overwhelmed with everything that we have to do, but we're not human doings. We're human beings. So it's important that we allow ourselves the time to just be. And that's the importance of meditation, is giving yourself the space to just be. So yeah, those are my recommendations,
Good. Yeah, that's a good recommendation. I remember the first time really trying to meditate. You've met Megan, right? Megan Barnard yet? Have you met her yet?
I don't think so.
I've actually talked to her about being on here.
I think you sent me her contact information though. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So she was the first person I took a meditation class with. It was part of her program at Yoga Central, and oh boy, I remember the first step is really just kind of sitting there and closing your eyes. And I remember I could not keep my eyes closed. I remember I was in school still, I think, and just always saying, I can't keep my eyes closed. Like, I have so many thoughts running through my mind. It's so loud that I just want to stand, I need to move. I'm really, especially, right now that I've had too much coffee, yeah. I'm wired. But it is a really, really hard thing to try to sit there and just be quiet and let those things be more prevalent in your mind. And I really wanted to do a guided meditation with you. The first one, of course, being on awareness. I think with a lot of creative individuals, including myself, I think awareness is something that is a tool that really, really helps us become better at what we do. Definitely. As a creative professional. But if you want to start using creativity as a means to find yourself, I think having awareness is a big, big tool to start off with, because it helps you begin to have the conversation with yourself. So what do you feel like awareness brings in your practice?
Oh, wow. Everything really. I mean, awareness for me has given me the ability to not only come into self-realization and understand who I am in my core and what I'm here to do, what I feel my purpose is, sharing that awareness, sharing that self-realization for all people, but also it has just given me so much more focus. It's given me such a sense of peace and clarity mentally as to what to do if I'm ever at a crossroads and don't know what decision to make. Or
Do you feel like it's made you more like of an honest person?
It's made me more, I think compassionate would be the best way to describe it, because in reflecting on myself, I've come into my own humanity and noticed how imperfect I really am. And then also realizing how that's true for everyone. Like, I don't want people to judge me on my mistakes. I don't want people to regard me for all of the negative experiences they've had with me. And seeing that humanity in myself has sort of made me able to see it in others, because, I have a negative encounter with another individual and I'll go back and I'll meditate on it. And at first I'll be so angry, I'll be so upset and
so reactive.
Yes, emotionally reactive. Definitely. I used to be very much emotionally reactive. And I will say that's another benefit, is that I've just become so much more slow in my approach to responding to experiences, to individuals. It's just kind of made me realize that nothing requires action. Nothing requires a reaction. And instead, I want to be fully present in everything that I do, fully aware of all aspects of every experience I'm a part of, opposed to just the initial reality that my subconscious mind perceives as automatically true. We see someone doing something and we get upset because to us it looks one way, but until we go speak to that person, we don't hear their side of the story and understand what their perspective was and why they were doing it. And so it's definitely given me more compassion and in turn made me more honest. I used to, little white lies never really changed anything. They never really made that big of a deal, but they do. And they kind of slowly wear on you, reminding me like, oh, I'm a terrible person. I've lied about so many things, or I just did so many things that I shouldn't have. And it's also made me more, I guess, just compassionate toward myself as well. I don't hold as many things against myself. And even to this day, if I do something that someone misinterprets, I understand, they have their perception and I can't change that for them. I can only continue to embody the truth that I hold closely to myself and hope that they one day see it. So it's just kind of given me this all around sense of okayness in life, I guess I would say, is that everything is always okay. And only when you return to stillness and peace can you remember that and really feel it for yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think this is going to be a really good thing for people to. I'm looking forward to doing this now, and of course, more episodes in the future, because I think a lot of people that might be listening to this need maybe that time in the morning. However, whatever. I prefer before you drink coffee, because it is really hard to sit there after you've. I won't be able to do this right now. I'll probably listen to it later and actually do it, but preferably more so in the morning, because it kind of gets your day going.
It sets the tone for your day entirely. If you start your day and you spill coffee on your shirt and you get upset about that, then you get stuck in traffic and now you're even more upset about that. And then, you accidentally get into an accident or you're late to work. And then the anger just builds because you didn't have that time to yourself in the morning to just center and be still. Whereas you wake up, you meditate, and you still go make that same cup of coffee. You still spill it on yourself. You're like, oh, well, I did that. Let me go change my shirt. And then you get stuck in traffic and you're like, oh, well, maybe I could just listen to an audiobook, or maybe I can play that playlist I've been meaning to listen to. Then you're still late to work, but you're like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. You mind if I'll take you out to lunch? Take your boss out to lunch. You just think of things that you wouldn't have thought of in the same way. You take a completely different perspective toward everything that happens. And instead of seeing things as happening to you, you see them as happening for you. Oh, this is an opportunity for me to exercise patience. This is an opportunity for me to have compassion. This is an opportunity for me to show others that they don't have to be emotionally reactive, And so you take every experience as a learning lesson. And I think meditation is absolutely necessary for that, because it gives you that time to sort of have that talk with yourself, like, this is going to be a good day no matter what happens, or I'm going to stay in my energy no matter what energy I'm presented with. So it's very necessary for sure.
Well, I appreciate you doing this. And just to let everybody know, it's going to be about, you said it's like about 20 minute.
Yep.
I would say if you can't last 20 minutes, that's fine, but at least give it a try. If you last only 5 minutes, that's totally fine. Maybe come back and listen to the full thing whenever you feel like you have more time. Definitely, again, like we said, try to maybe fit it in into the morning. I know a lot of people wake up and they got to go, but I would really recommend a lot of people listening to this and really try to find some time to block it off. So thank you, Ashton, and here we go.
So we are going to begin this guided meditation by finding a comfortable space to sit, crossing the legs, keeping the spine long and tall, and gently closing the eyes. You can allow your palms to rest face up or down onto your knees, whichever you prefer. And just begin to breathe intentionally into your diaphragm. Take note of any thoughts that come up for you, any feelings associated with them, and opposed to judging them. Just notice them. Just acknowledge that they are there and allow them to be as they are. So with your eyes closed, I want you to take your mind down into your feet. What I mean by this is essentially allowing your mental energy to travel all the way down to your toes, the balls of your feet, your heels, the arches, and without moving them, feel the energy that resides in this space. Maybe even imagine yourself wiggling your toes or rolling your ankles around. And notice any shifts that you feel in your energy as you do. And while your mind is here, allow yourself to observe everything you can about this part of your body. Can you feel into the arches of your feet? Can you feel into each toe? Even the hairs that are on the tops of your feet. And now I want you to allow your mind to travel up into your legs, focusing around the shins and calves, and feeling into the space of the body. Continuing to focus on the breath, breathing deeply on each inhale, and releasing the breath fully on every exhale. And take note of everything that you can about your shins, about your calves, the muscles, the bones, the energy that resides in this space. Maybe imagine yourself moving this part of your legs without actually doing so. Now allow your mind to move up into the knees, feeling the kneecaps, the energy around them. And again, maybe imagining yourself And as you observe this part of your body, also take note of any physical sensations that you feel in each of these spaces. Do you feel tension or pain? Do you feel looseness, comfortability, flexibility even? Again, just trying to observe everything that you can about this part of the body. Now allow your mind to move up into your thighs, noticing everything you can about the upper leg, channeling the quads, the hamstrings, bones, tendons, muscles, ligaments, even imagining the fascia, and feeling into this part of the body, allowing your mind to travel right there, and just resting in it. Now we will move up to the hips, allowing your mind to observe everything you can about this part of the body. Noticing any tension, any tightness or soreness. And without moving the hips, just imagine yourself as if you were. Notice any shifts in your energy as you do. Imagine movement within different parts of your body. Can you feel an increase in activity, an increase in any sort of sensation, such as tension or flexibility? Is there a specific emotion that is associated with the energy you perceive? And again, just remembering to breathe deeply as you move from each part of the body. And as you focus on every aspect of the body that you can. Now we will move up into the stomach, into the core, and feel into this part of the body, noticing the front wall of your abdomen, your obliques, even the organs inside. Observing any shift in energy that you feel, any activation, any emotion. And to be patient as you do this. Allow yourself time and space to focus and to have an understanding when it's hard to focus. And if at any point it is, just return to your breath. Now moving from the abdomen up into your chest, taking note of any part of this body, any part. Now moving from the abdomen up into your chest, taking note of any physical sensation or emotion you feel in this space, any shift in energy. Any thoughts that come into mind as your mind resides here. And imagine yourself feeling into your heart. What does it feel like for you? Is it warm or cold? Do you feel it beating? And simply allow yourself to think any thoughts or emotions that come up for you as your mind rests into this space, into every space. Give yourself permission to simply be with yourself. Imagine the plate of your chest, the hardness. And notice the rise and fall of it with every breath that you take. Now we will allow our minds to travel into our shoulders, really observing everything we can about this part of the body, any tension we feel, any tightness or soreness. Being mindful of your posture as your mind wanders into this space as well, keeping the spine long and tall, chest forward, shoulders slightly back, and keeping the gaze straight ahead, eyes closed. And allow your shoulders to relax, giving them permission to release the tension that resides here. Feel into the shoulder blades. Feel into the caps of your shoulders. And imagine yourself flexing them without physically moving your body. And take note of the physical sensation that arises as you do imagine this movement. Does it feel real for you? Is it challenging? Now allowing the mind to travel down into the arms, taking note of any shift in energy you feel as you do. Imagine yourself bending your arm without actually doing so. Notice how that feels for you. Now moving into the hands. Imagine yourself clenching your fist without actually doing so. Wiggling the fingers, rolling the wrist around. Feel the energy that resides in this part of your body. Notice how, as you mentally guide the energy in your hand to move, it shifts, and you feel it. Now allow your mind to travel back up through your arm, to the shoulders, and up to your neck. Imagine yourself rolling your neck around, flexing it, relaxing it, and releasing the tension that resides here. Again, being mindful of your posture, keeping the gaze straight ahead as you do, not sacrificing the alignment within your spine. And still taking deep, intentional breaths into the diaphragm and fully releasing them on each exhale. And as you allow your mind to travel from your neck back up into your mental mind, take note of any shift in energy you have felt since beginning this guided meditation. Do you feel physically different? Have your thoughts changed? Are you in a different emotional state? Do you feel more calm, relaxed, and at peace? Do you feel more physically aware of your own body and how deeply integrated every part of it is with itself? Now just begin to focus on your breath for a few moments and take note of everything that you can about it. Is it cold, warm? Is it deep or shallow? Is it painful or restorative? And notice how effortlessly this breath returns without any request from us. How we don't even have to think about how necessary it is to breathe. We just do it. And then consider this for the entirety of your body. How effortlessly it continues to function each day, each moment, without any request or demand from us. We have a mind that can think thoughts, a heart to feel emotions, hands to create, feet to walk in the direction that we want to, a stomach that digests the food we eat, and cells that naturally restore themselves anytime we've been hurt, cut, bruised, injured. There is a natural intelligence to this system. That in order for it to work, we just have to step out of the way and allowing ourselves this time to calm the mind, observe the thoughts, feel the emotions. We are stepping out of the way, allowing the body to heal itself and allowing the mind to massively intricate knot it has been designing since birth. So again, just focus on the breath. And feel into your body rather than focusing on one particular aspect of it. Notice all that you can about its entirety. How seamlessly it works together. How unique it is in its design, despite operating just as everyone else is. Maybe even all of the scars, cuts, and bruises that you've gotten over the years that allow you to tell the story of your experiences in life that are completely unique and personal to you. See, our bodies weren't meant to wander through this life in perfect condition. They were meant to be weathered, worn, lived in. So as you sit in the awareness of your own physical vessel, maybe take a moment to hold gratitude for this vessel you've been given to experience this incredible life in. Appreciate each time it fell down just to get back up. Each time it got cut or bruised just to replenish and heal. And even just the fact that it exists, that you exist, here, now, in this body, with this mind, in this moment. See, our minds often love to travel, but our bodies can only ever be right where they are. We allow our thoughts to wander off into the past or out into the future, but our bodies can't go along with our mind. And this is why awareness is so important. Because the truth of this existence is that you can only ever truly be where you are, right here, right now. And nothing is ever as important as this present moment. So with full awareness and conscious attention to the present moment, we can begin to see reality as it is. We can begin to uncover the subconscious perceptions our minds have automatically assumed as true, and decipher what is actually true. As we bring this meditation to an end, I would just like to say thank you so much for joining me, for listening to this episode, for participating in this meditation, and for caring for your own mind, for your own well-being, and taking the time to be with yourself. The light and divinity in me honors and reflects the light and divinity in each of you, always. Namaste. All right, well, I appreciate you guys so much for joining. Seriously, you have no idea how much being able to do this means to me. And if you guys would like to find me on social media, you're more than welcome to reach out to me on Instagram at the MBSMVMT, which essentially stands for the Mind, Body, Soul Movement, which you can also search if you'd like to do that. But yeah, essentially on that page, I just have the Mind, Body, Soul Movement community where I share my knowledge and wisdom around holistic health, self-development, and spirituality. I am also a yoga and meditation teacher as well as an Ayurveda specialist. So if you are ever interested in working personally with me, please do not hesitate to reach out to me because I am happy to work with you and would love to get to know you. Again, thank you so much. I love each of you, and I hope you all have an incredible day.
What you gonna play now?